Hurricane Milton has slammed into the western coast of Florida. Let's take you to the live pictures which show you Tampa. The entire Tampa Bay region and areas to the south have been at greatest risk from the storm, which carries winds of more than 200 kilometers an hour. And you can see there the rain ferociously beating down over that shot of the University of Tampa. Well, the storm tore the roof off the baseball stadium for the Tampa Bay Rays team in St Petersburg. Pieces of the non-retractable roof can be seen there flapping in the wind. Well, according to a local television station in the area, there were no reported injuries at the site. Well, the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, said that the time for safe evacuation had now passed. He warned people who'd stayed behind that they shouldn't go outside until officials tell them it's safe to do so. Bridges have been closed because of fears of a 4-metre-high storm surge. Well, before the hurricane made landfall, strong winds ripped up trees, damaged mobile homes and left hundreds of thousands of people without power. At least 10 tornadoes were reported and millions of people fled the areas most at risk, but some, as we've been saying, chose to stay behind. Well, let's get the latest on all of those developments from Steve Nibbs.
Hurricane Milton made landfall with its full force and spread slowly across central Florida. Over the Gulf of Mexico, the storm showed its strength, ripping up waves nearly 30 feet high. In St Petersburg, the roof was ripped open on a stadium set up to house thousands of emergency responders. Milton was taking hold.
Now at this point, it's too dangerous to evacuate safely, so you have to shelter in place and just hunker down. But if you start to get in a situation where trees are snapping, power's popping, you do have to treat it like a tornado.
Tornadoes hit in several places. The sheriff's office in St. Lucie said that people there have died as a result. In Fort Myers earlier, some buildings were destroyed in an instant.
These windows blew out. I was about probably right here when it happened. My cat over there on the desk. I grabbed the 2 dogs and run under my bed. But that was it. Probably 1 minute total.
Across Florida, Hurricane Milton's power intensified. Strong winds, heavy rain battered the west coast. But it didn't stop some wanting to witness it firsthand.
I've had a lot of anxiety over the night about it because it is my first hurricane, but I just wanted to see the water and, get the whole Florida experience.
Tonight, the first images now coming in.
The US news networks are following Milton's progress closely. One broadcaster showed the potential impact of the rising tide.
The water is expected to rise even higher at 6 feet above the height of most people. Vehicles get carried away, structures start to fail. Just look at this.
And it's this and the strong winds combined that are causing the most concern.
And this is life-threatening inundation. That water is going to violently be pushed onto dry land by the winds associated with Milton as it makes landfall this evening.
The lethal effects of Storm Helene a fortnight ago were also worrying many as Milton takes hold here.
Just a few weeks ago in Helene, we lost 11 or 12 people. All were in evacuation zones. And so our message has been, for the last 48 hours to get to an evacuation zone if you're ordered to do so.
So far, over 1 million people have lost power as Milton wreaks its predicted havoc. Those still in the path of the storm can now only wait and hope. Steve Nibbs, BBC News.
Well, let's speak to Crystal, who lives just north of Tampa. Crystal decided to stay rather than leave the state. Welcome to BBC News. First of all, Crystal, just tell us what you felt and saw and heard as that storm hit.
I'm sorry, I broke up a little bit. I believe you said, what all did we hear as the storm hit? Is that correct?
Yeah, I was asking you if you could just describe what you saw and you felt and you heard as that hurricane hit.
Well, we lost power about 30 minutes before it made landfall. It made landfall a little bit south of where I am located. So the wind started picking up shortly after that. And for my specific location, the concern was the wind. We were not in a storm surge area, so we heard a lot of the wind howling, and you'll hear gusts of winds coming through. The rain was pretty steady, which we're kind of used to rain. And, oh, sorry, let me we've already lost power. So the rain was kind of steady. So we had heavy rainfall, and a lot of the wind. You could hear transformers blowing as people continue to lose electricity. And then later on, we actually heard trees cracking, branches falling. We actually had 2 trees come down in our yard. Fortunately, it was not towards the house; it was safely in the front yard. So we saw the impact of the storm.
I mean, Crystal, it sounds really terrifying. Some people would want to know why you did not heed the warnings from Joe Biden and the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, to leave for a safer place.
Well, they encourage you to leave if you're in an evacuation zone. Me specifically, I was not in an evacuation zone because I was not in danger of any storm surges. That was a really, really scary part of the storm, is the storm surges coming up. But where I am located, there wasn't a chance of flooding. I am in a concrete block home, which is very safe for high winds. They're made all throughout Florida because they're safe for high winds. And the location I am was not as dire in need of evacuation as other places. Now, places that were needed to evacuate, I definitely agree they should evacuate, but I did not see the purpose of taking resources from people that should evacuate by me booking a hotel when hotels were already booked, or going to take up room on.
Oh, Crystal. Hi, Crystal. I think.
Yes.
You're
sorry.
Still there. I understand and appreciate that you're going in and out of power. So thank you very much for bearing with us, Crystal. Just tell us now. Obviously, you explained about your house and how you're not in an evacuation zone. We appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. I just want to know now what you think comes next. I mean, are you worried about rising floodwaters? And I hope you have enough supplies to keep you going as well.
It's kind of breaking up, but I think I kind of got what you said. We stocked up prior to this. We are Florida natives here. Me and my husband are both Florida natives, so we know what to expect for hurricanes. So we made sure we stocked up, and we have probably a month's worth of supplies ready to go in case if we go a long period without power. We also have a recreational vehicle that we are able to run the generator with. So basically, for us personally, we having a bed, a fridge, a sink, a restroom to use, all that sort of stuff. And then as for my concerns or whatever, it's going to be a lot of cleanup for me specifically, but for the Tampa Bay area, it is going to be devastating for the floodwaters that some parts have received and the cleanup and the debris after that. But I know there's already a bunch of trees down, and there will be a lot of cleanup for that.
Okay, and just quickly, Crystal, as well. I mean, it's only a couple of years ago since, was it Hurricane Ian hit some of that area? How has your area kind of bounced back from that? And how do you think you'll bounce back from the devastation of this current hurricane, of Milton?
I mean, honestly, Florida has a great pattern of, we know when it happens and cleaning up and trying to rebuild as quickly as possible. Neighbors here, 90% of my neighbors did not evacuate, saying, hey, if you need help with anything, I'll be happy to help. That's just kind of, we go through the cycle here. We know, like, the next part is to clean up and help your neighbor and just move on and rebuild with it and be prepared if it happens again.
Okay, Crystal, we really, really appreciate you sharing your story with us. I know you have limited power, so we are very grateful. And we're also glad that you're doing okay. And as you say, you have a community around you to support each other through these difficult times. Thanks very much for sharing your story, Crystal.
Thank you for having me.